This message is just for you. You are good enough. This is the episode for you. What happens when you've got the big goal in your head, but you have no idea how to get there? When we've got a whole load of conflicted voices, all pulling us in different directions, how do we get past it? Well, let's talk about it. So, as frequent listeners of the Language Confidence Project podcast know, and I would also urge you to check it out, there are 300 episodes now, and the link is in the description. I often talk about how you are a whole person learning a language. But being one whole person doesn't mean being one completely united brain learning a language. A lot of the time, it's actually a lot more like being a village learning a language. And the villagers don't always agree. And because of that, there's a tug of war going on. You focus on grammar for a bit, only to worry that your speaking fluency is being neglected. You decide to take some classes or hire a tutor, but then the inner voices are telling you that your creativity is being stifled, and they're listing all the other things you could have done with that money. So you drop the classes. You think, better go it alone, only for a different set of voices to now kick up and say you've got no idea what you're doing, the clock's ticking, and at this rate you'll never succeed. And so you're going around and around in circles, taking a few steps in one direction, only to hesitate and come back over and over again. And that is tiring, because every time you get back to the start, you're thinking, but I've done so much, I feel so busy, but I'm not getting anywhere, I've got nothing to show for it, I'm in the same place I was in before, except now I'm also tired. And that is when we know. The inner townspeople need to have a meeting. There are too many voices, all with competing commitments, trying to strategize at the same time. And they're not listening to each other, they're shouting over each other. Quite often, pairs emerge that directly contradict each other. So these are some of the biggest characters in my village. You might have met some of them yourself, and I'm sure you'll have plenty more of your own to add. So the first obnoxious duo is the Scrooge, who thinks we're wasting our money, always points out that if we're willing to sacrifice more time, we can do whatever it is for free or for cheaper. And he is permanently at loggerheads with the timekeeper. The timekeeper is constantly clock watching and telling us that we're already behind, we're wasting our time, and if we just spent some money on this thing, we might stand a chance of doing it faster. And then we've got the perfectionist, who just wants us to do it right the first time, for heaven's sake. And the perfectionist is being wound up by the curtain twitcher, who is constantly watching what everybody else is doing and reporting back. Then we've got the child, who wants to just have fun. The child goes where the shiny and colourful things are. The child gets bored easily and wants things to be curiosity-led. And the child is very much upsetting the schoolmaster, who thinks that if you're having fun, you can't really be learning. And then we've got the strategist, the one that wants to know exactly how this new thing is going to fit into the master plan. Exactly the what, the how, the logistics, all the details, every advantage, every possible disadvantage, and everything must be weighed up and everything must directly lead us to where we want to be. And the strategist is constantly being shot down by the naysayer, who maintains that it doesn't really matter what you do, it's never going to happen anyway. And having all these voices whittering away in the background makes it so hard to figure out where to go next. You can't settle on anything or do anything consistently because whatever direction you go in, someone isn't happy. You make any decision at all, and someone is wincing with their hands over their eyes, while another one angrily exclaims that you're ignoring terribly good sense. So today I want to ask you, who are the villagers running the language learning committee in your head? And you can probably picture them because they're often walking caricatures. Maybe even draw them and name them so you can greet them properly next time they visit to offer you some unsolicited advice. But one thing is for sure, and that is that I have not found a way to completely shut any of them out. And to be honest, I don't think it would be wise even if we could, because for all their complaining and whining and bickering, they do bring up good points. The problem is that they're always going to be shouting that anything that you give to one of them is stealing from another one. So instead of trying to silence them, let's call a town meeting. Get them all into a figurative room and try and work out what their main aims are, and then look at how they fit in with your overall language goals. And then we can see how we can use their wisdom, but also contain the rest. So the Scrooge, for example, might calm down a bit if you just give him a solid budget to work with. You might be able to reassure the schoolmaster with some pedagogical theory on how useful gamification can be in language learning, or by showing him the progress you've already made as proof that what you're doing is working, even though it's enjoyable. And you're probably not going to get them all singing from the same hymn sheet, but even just being aware that they're here might mean that their protestations won't take you so much by surprise and throw you off course. And despite the inner chatterings, I want you to know that you are doing so well, language learners, and you are making progress. Just because it feels like you're going around in circles, it doesn't mean that you are. And sometimes you can't see change happening in real time, but it is happening. So keep chipping away and it will make sense down the line. And if you would love some company while you study your language, I'd love to invite you to join my Patreon community of colourful, creative and mission-driven language learners. Depending on what tier you choose, we have a monthly meetup just to get together and chat about all things language, productivity and the world, and weekly co-working in the creative space so that you don't have to do this alone. If you have a question that you'd love to get an answer to, there's also a monthly Q&A where you can get personalised advice from me. So check it out, the link is in the description, and I would love if you could come and join me. Have a wonderful day, good luck, and I will see you back here tomorrow.